Welcome into the Locked On Packers midweek squad show. My name is Brandon Sneide. After getting embarrassed, the heat is now on in Green Bay.
I'm Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers. And with all the talk about Micah Parsons, this week for me is all about the offense. It's a get-right game.
Yeah, this is Coach Jags doubling down in Dallas.
Go Pack Go! It's the Packers Squad. Everything Green Bay Packers every week, covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from Titletown. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the frozen tundra with all the cheeseheads, the Packers Squad show starts now.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you find podcasts. You will certainly find the Locked On Packers, the number one Packers podcast on the internet, and the show for fans who know what happened, they want to know why and how. As always, thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Gentlemen, so much to get to tonight on our midweek edition. Yes, we're a day late. Yes, it's my fault. We'll get into that later. We'll dive into the group chat, the play of the offensive line, and the issues Peter and Coach Jags found in the protection up front. We'll get to our thoughts, some
we might need more than an hour on that one.
Might need more than an hour than that. Some injury concerns for the Packers. We'll talk about that. And of course, stay tuned for the end of the show.
That one too. Right.
That's just in the offensive line. Stay tuned at the end of the show. You'll get our final score predictions. But gentlemen, let's begin with our eyes on the enemy, the 1-2 Dallas Cowboys. It is Sunday Night Football. It is prime time. It is a big time matchup. And Peter, after an embarrassing loss in Cleveland, I think we can all agree it was an embarrassing loss in Cleveland. How are you feeling heading to Jerry World for a Week 4 clash with the Dallas Cowboys?
This is, I think, going to be one of the all-time "it's so over, we're so back" games. Because after last week, I know you guys saw it on socials. I know you saw it on the national shows. You heard it on radio. The sky not just was falling, had fallen, and this team was dead after 3 weeks. This Cowboys defense is a nightmare. They are so bad. And it is the exact opposite of everything we saw in Cleveland. They cannot rush the passer at all. I just saw this stat tweeted from NFL Stats, an account that I follow, that Donovan Ezeraku leads the Cowboys in quarterback hits. He has 3. This is from Tony Holzman Escareno. The Packers have 3 players with 5 quarterback hits this season. Rashawn Gary has 7. Micah Parsons has 6. Devontae Wyatt has 5. They cannot rush the passer. They're 31st in EPA per play defensively, 32nd in DVOA, 31st again PPA per pass, 32nd in pass DVOA. This passing defense stinks. And if there was ever a game after what we saw last week for Jordan Love and Matthew Golden and those guys to go off, this is the game.
Coach.
Yeah, every game's its own entity, right? And the thing is, you can't get too high or too low after a loss. You just can't, because what do we always talk about, guys? It's a marathon, right? It's not a sprint. But I think going into Dallas, and they've got problems on the defensive side of the ball, right? And they had the ultimate or the premier pass rusher in the league, and they traded him to us, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, when he was there, he elevated guys. And there's a reason that they're not playing very good, right? And I know they got a ton of problems. You just gave a bunch of stats. When you're like 31st in the league, that's never a good sign.
Well, and Brandon, the funny thing was, you know, when the Packers traded for him, I heard this stat all the time. Okay, when Micah Parsons was on the field, they were number 1 in EPA per play defensively, the best defense by EPA per play in the league. When he was off the field, they were 32nd. Like, come on. There is no, like, and look, the Packers are what? At worst, the 3rd best defense in the league. Tucker Kraft said this is the best defense in the league. But like at worst, it's Cleveland, Seattle, Green Bay. Like that's as bad as it could be. They might be 1st. And Dallas is literally the worst defense in the league. You take Micah Parsons off the Cowboys, they become the worst defense in the league, and the Packers become the best defense in the league. That's the kind of football player he is. That's why I'm not worried about, okay, Dak, they're trying to make this a shootout game. No CeeDee Lamb. They lost their rookie Tyler Booker, their guard. Their interior is soft anyway in that way. So I feel like Micah is going to have a point to prove. This is a perfect storm for Green Bay to come out and just beat the crap out of a team that they have owned, as Dan Hellman pointed out on Locked On Packers on our show for Friday. For the last 15 years, Green Bay has owned this Dallas Cowboys team, going back to 2010 when they ended Wade Phillips' career as a head coach, basically.
You mentioned Tucker Kraft. You mentioned him talking about the offense needing to meet up with the defense. Let's hear from number 85. Let's go into the locker room.
Did great week 1, week 2, coming out, trying to put points on the board. We just got to stick to that. It doesn't matter if we're home or away. We're going to come out on the first drive and try to get points on the board. That is just the demand of our offense. The defense needs us to play like that so we can play complementary to them. They hold the team, to 13 points in the fourth quarter. It was 10-0 up until the fourth quarter. That's remarkable. Not a lot of defenses are doing that. We have the best defense in the NFL, so we just have to help them out. We're beating ourselves up and we're getting behind the sticks with pre-snap penalties and we're fed up with our own mistakes, and we just got to be able to limit those in the future and continue to move on.
Coach, when you hear that from Tucker Kraft, number one, I'm going to be quite honest with you, it's refreshing to hear, right? It's refreshing to hear a player, especially of his caliber, one of the leaders on that team, kind of talk about the obvious, right? 14 penalties, as we talked about it after Sunday's game against the Cleveland Browns. The Packers should have won that game. It should have been an easy win, improving to 3-0. When you're in the locker room, what's the message you're sending your team after a game like that, after a tough game, like we mentioned, that they should have won, but you don't have really a lot of time to think about or feel sorry for yourselves. And now, not only did you lose that game on the road, you got to go right back on the road in prime time ahead of a bye week. So they have a bye week in week 5. So what's the message, Coach, you're sending to your guys in that locker room ahead of this matchup?
Well, that sounded like a really good locker room guy, right? So he talked about complementary football and everybody's responsible for their own job, right? And it's just what it sounded like. And I guarantee you, he got that message from Coach LaFleur. The whole team did. And that's a great thing about the Packer locker room is that, remember we talked about they're parroting what they're hearing?
Yeah.
You know that you have a player when those players start saying the same message that you have. Because there's only one message. That's it, right? It's us and it's you. We have to score one more point than you give up, and the defense has to give up one less. That's it. That's how it works.
I loved, Brandon, hearing a player say we're fed up. Yeah. We are fed up with the pre-snap penalties because, and Jag says this all the time, the coaches can't go do it for you. They can coach you. We can talk about it. We can go through it during the week. We can talk about proper technique. Jags loves to point out, anybody in the NFL should be able to count to 2, right? So you like the snap count should be easy. The pre-snap penalty stuff, just line up correctly, Micah Parsons, like those kinds of things. To hear a player say, we players, not the coaches, we as the players are fed up. I love to hear a player say that because that means the players are taking ownership of something, to Jag's point, that the coaches are talking about. It reminds me a little bit, right, of Lucas Van Ness before the season. We didn't have a squad show yet, but early, what was the conversation? Matt LaFleur said he's thinking too much. He's trying to be perfect. Football is an imperfect game. And Lucas Van Ness was asked about it a week later, and what did he say? Football is an imperfect game. He's almost line for line said what Matt LaFleur said.
There you go.
This is parroting what the coach is saying. It means the coach's message is getting through. And for everyone that wants Matt LaFleur fired and for Jeff Hafley to take over, chill out for a second. But also, this is such a great example.
That's not me. That's not me. That's not me.
This is such a great example.
We're keeping him off the show.
Of why this is it's working. Matt LaFleur is getting through to these guys.
Coach, when you look at this matchup, and obviously you heard Tucker Kraft there, mention like we got to be better on offense. Where does that pressure lie this week? When you hear Tucker Kraft talk about that, is it more so on Adam Stenavich. I would obviously probably just say it's not, but is it Matt LaFleur or is it Jordan Love? Like, where does it lie? Because those two are obviously married at the hip, but I think one of them outweighs the other when it comes to putting points on the board and creating some consistency offensively. So going into this matchup, where does the pressure lie between those two guys?
I think it always comes down to, first of all, it doesn't matter who we're playing. And I go, guys, you guys are sick of me saying this stuff, but we're playing to our standard. It doesn't matter if we're playing Dallas. It doesn't matter if Dallas's defense isn't very good right now. They still have to go down there and play to our standard. We need to get the run game going. We need to protect better. Guys, there's a bunch of it's not just like one area, right? And I know the line's beat up and all that, but everybody's got to step up. And when you only score 10 points, that's not the standard in Green Bay.
Peter, any concern with the offensive line for the Packers not being at full strength? Today was sort of kind of a big day practice-wise. Anthony Belton did not practice, ankle injury. Aaron Banks did not practice, groin injury. Any concerns with the offensive line? I don't want to discredit Dallas, but I would say that, when you give up Micah Parsons, your front, the front seven kind of takes a step back. So is there any concerns with those guys out now that we're heading into Dallas?
How can there not be? We just saw what happened in Cleveland. I understand the Cowboys are not Cleveland. They don't have Myles Garrett. The hell, they don't even have Malik Collins. They don't have a player that good on the interior. Kenny Clark is very good, but does not have the juice anymore in terms of quickness and explosiveness that he used to. Although he has been their best pass rusher, there's no doubt about it. This is going to be Jordan Morgan and Elton Jenkins and Sean Ryan against Kenny Clark. That's going to be the matchup in this game. They have a replacement for Aaron Banks. I'm not worried about Jordan Morgan playing left guard against almost anybody because Aaron Donald is not in the NFL anymore. Maybe against the Eagles, Jalen Carter, that would worry me a little bit, but I don't know that Banks is like at all better. Maybe not.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
So, but the right tackle problem, like that's it. If Zach Tom is not going to go, and it sounds like Zach Tom's not going to go, and Anthony Belton, who practiced on Wednesday, but then in pads didn't on Thursday. If he practices in a limited fashion tomorrow, we can chalk this up to a rest day. Matt LaFleur was very vague when asked about it yesterday, if he was going to practice, and then he didn't. That was after he practiced on Wednesday. So if he can't go, then it's Darian Kennard. Now you're talking about a third string right tackle. And though I thought he had some nice plays against Philadelphia, for Philadelphia when he was an Eagle, but against the Lions when he had to be out there, he had some nice moments against the Browns. He was passable against the Browns. You'd rather have Anthony Belton. You'd rather have Zach Tom. And so you're taking a meaningful step down. This is something that I think the average fan, and we don't have any average fans listening to Locked On Packers ever. Everyone is always superlative listening to this show, but they don't understand the gap between the starter and the backup. And then the gap between the backup and then the third guy is like an ocean, right? Yeah, so it is. This is the problem that they're facing. Are you now going to do what you did against Cleveland and play scared because you're worried about your protection? You just can't do that. You have to find a way to just say, we're gonna have to live with this and try and do everything we can to make this work without sacrificing too much of our offense. Luckily, this secondary is going to let you do that because they are averaging, get this, guys, I love this stat, 9.4 yards per drop back. Okay. Brandon, 2011. Remember that season? Remember Aaron Rodgers, 2011? It's the best I've ever seen a quarterback play. 9.2 yards per attempt that season. So this Dallas defense makes everyone 2011 Aaron Rodgers. Like, think about that. No, sorry. Better than 2011 Aaron Rodgers. That's impossible. That's how bad they are. So look, if you can protect, all you've got to do is protect a little bit and you're going to have opportunities down the field.
Peter, let me ask you something. Could you think you could call plays with the Green Bay Packers if you got like 2nd and 1 all the time?
I mean, yeah. 2nd and 1. Yeah. If I had 2nd and 1 all the time, yeah, I think I'd be pretty good calling plays.
If you're like 9 yards a pass. Holy
yeah. Basically a first down every time you pass, almost.
Well, Peter, to your point though, on the Packers side, on the Cowboys side, no Tyler Booker. He's already been ruled out. Right guard, starting center also out. Cooper Beebe, he's out as well. Wow. So this is a game where
I think mentioned CeeDee Lamb.
Well, I was just you're right. We'll talk about that, but I'm talking up front for the other side. The Packers offensive line, the defensive line, the front 7 for Green Bay. Coach, they need to dominate this game when you don't have two on the other side starting offensive linemen for the Cowboys.
They have the horses to do it. Dallas doesn't. That's the difference.
Guys, I tell you what, if you don't have a center, who's the only guy in the whole team that touches the ball every snap?
Center quarterback.
Well, the center always, right? But if you don't have your center, there's a dynamic at play because the center is like the quarterback of the front guys, right?
Yep.
So you always see him. He's the guy that's pointing out what the front is, what's it even, if it's the odd, or who the Mike linebacker is. You're going to see who he's pointing to. And he's got to get everybody in the same direction. And then maybe sometimes we're flipping the protection and they flip it, or the quarterback may do it. But if you've got like your second center, that I would rather not have that than a second left tackle. I'm kidding you. I'm just
wow.
I'm serious.
Well, I think to your point too.
You don't have a guy, and
we
can't direct it.
Well, and what the Packers are able to do with their fronts, like the amount of confusion they create, where they're going, okay, we're going to overload this one side, and you're going to have to slide that way. We're going to create one-on-ones, and then actually what we're going to do is we're going to send an extra body from the other side, and we're going to get a free rusher, even though we're only going to rush 4. Like they do stuff like that all the time. Jeff Hafley has now been one of the lowest blitz rate coaches in the NFL through 3 weeks because they haven't had to do it, but they show more than 4 all the time, right, Jags? Like this is become a simulated pressure team where they're going to show you 5, they're going to show you 6. It's not but they only send 4 because they only need to bring 4 to get pressure. And the thing about Micah Parsons, guys, that I just like kind of didn't quite appreciate, and I've talked about this a little bit. You talk about, okay, we're going to double this guy in pass protection, coach. And most of the time that'll get the job done. I think there are 2 guys in the NFL where it's not. The Packers played one of them last week, and the other guy's on their team. It does not matter if you double Michael Parsons. He will win at like an average to everybody else rate against a double team. That's how good he is.
Well, I tell you one thing I think they can get. What's the easiest way to get a double team on a rush end is to do it with a tight end or a back, right? Where can he get double team is if he's playing a backer. He's not playing down. He's playing a backer. Now it's one-on, guys, that's what it is. It's one-on-one with the running back. Get that for a matchup, right? So I'd anticipate seeing Green Bay playing him a little bit more off the football this week because that's the matchup isn't the defensive end because I saw him a triple team last week. Yeah. There was a receiver, there was a back, there was a left tackle over there. Holy cow. But if you can go ahead and create one-on-one matchups up front, cover everybody up. We talked about this before with like a bear, everyone covering the core of the defense, and Parsons being that linebacker and just let him blitz. That's the backs. That's not the guard. I mean, everybody else is manned up. I mean, you talk about a matchup nightmare for them. That's how I would handle that.
Well, and to your point, Jags, about the centerpiece, like double A gap, like you put Micah Parsons and Edgerrin Cooper in there and make the center make decisions. Yep. And then if you get a 5-man surface and you slide the protection the wrong way, then it is either one-on-one with the back or just free runner time.
So you're talking about like double A. So the center is going to have one A gap and the other A gap is going to be the backs, right? I mean, that's how I do it. I mean, that's how we're going to do it unless they were going to full slide everybody. Right. And then you have a one-on-one. Teams don't like to do that as much unless they had a tight end and a back end. They don't want to go full slide. They're not paid to do that. They're paid on winning one-on-ones, right? But again, if they can go ahead and get him one-on-one with a linebacker, man, it's going to be a long day for Dallas.
Well, and to both of your guys' point, too, real center, before we move on to the next segment, Elton Jenkins didn't have a good game on Sunday, and that completely changed the protection. That changed how comfortable or not comfortable Jordan was.
And he admitted it.
And he admitted it.
He said, I played terrible.
Yeah. Speaking of the Browns, the Packers falling embarrassing fashion in week 3. Can they respond in week 4? Is this matchup against the Cowboys a must win? Stay tuned. We discuss. Today's Locked On Packers Squad Show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your first $5 bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes every game more exciting. Even when you're watching your team, another team, just keeping an eye on your daily fantasy. This is where FanDuel comes in. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. Again, place that first $5 bet. If it wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. One more time, that's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Tough one in week 3 for the Green Bay Packers. If I told you guys before the year started,
no, here we go,
that the Green Bay Packers, I mean,
the D coordinator be the O-line.
I mean, hey, I'm batting 1,000 right now, Coach. I'm batting 1,000 right now. However, if I told you at the beginning of the year when we were talking about the schedule, we all talked about it. You got the Lions, Commanders, the Browns, and the Cowboys. Coach, you talk about breaking the season up in quarters. If I had told you about going into week 4 that the Green Bay Packers would be 2-1, I think all three of us would have signed our name on the dotted line. Had we not known what had happened in week 3, I think we would have signed our name on the dotted line. However, with that being said, Peter, when you start the year 2-0 and you beat the team that was won 15 games last year, the Detroit Lions, you beat a team that was in the NFC Championship game in the Washington Commanders, and then you lose to the Browns and you're staring at 2-2 heading into the bye week. It's a simple question for you. Is this a must-win game for the Green Bay Packers, and we are only in week 4?
I mean, look, you want me to say yes, but the answer is
I can say yes for you.
I don't think it is. I think week one was a must-win because they needed to prove they could beat the Detroit Lions. I think you go into Dallas and you lay an egg. Yeah, like you're going to be concerned for sure. But then you get into the bye week, you probably get Christian Watson back, you get this offensive line healthy. I mean, we saw a healthy version of this offensive line have absolutely no problems handling Aiden Hutchinson and a defense that we just saw sack Lamar Jackson 7 times. And so those sorts of things do not concern me. It would depend on how they lost, right? So like if the offense scores 10 again against this defense, I would certainly be concerned about where the offense is. But I think it would also be easy to chalk up to offensive line issues if that is in fact the case. I find that hard to believe, though, frankly.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Peter. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to be vamping beyond that.
Well, stop that. I got to stop. You guys. So anyways, guys, I think just as a ball coach, right? And you got going into your fourth ball game. And just a little perspective on this. So let's just say that they weren't to win this one, and we don't think Dallas is a very good team. Guess what their record's going to be? 2-2.
Yeah.
We'd be feeling like we're better than that, right? And the thing is, they got to get to this off week, and they got to get this off week because the mentality of winning a game going into your off week and not winning a game going into your off week, that's a problem. I mean, that's a bad feeling, and then you're uncovering everything and you're investigating everything, what went wrong. So this is a big game. It's not a must win, but it's a big game for us.
It's a must win. I don't think it's a question that it's a must win. And I thoroughly respect Peter's opinion and yours, Coach. But I think if you go into the bye week with a 2-2 record after beating the Detroit Lions and the Washington Commanders and losing to the Browns and the Cowboys in the back end, and you go into your bye week losing 2 in a row when you should have won week 3 and you probably should win week 4, I think it would be a massive disappointment for this Green Bay Packers team. Now, keep in mind,
being disappointed is not the same as must win.
But it's going to, because the Browns won. Okay, you flush it down. Yes, you flush the Browns down, and it's an AFC team. The Cowboys are an NFC team. I don't know. The Cowboys probably won't be there come playoff time, right? But I think your record in the NFC matters. Let's talk about this real quick. The Cowboys are going to be without CeeDee Lamb. You mentioned it, Peter, in segment 1. That's big, right? Some would argue he's one of the top 5 best receivers in all of football. You don't have 2 of your starting 5 offensive linemen. The Cowboys don't. This is a Cowboys team that just gave up 450 passing yards to Russell Wilson, who, oh, by the way, was just benched for Jackson Dart in New York.
I get it. Brandon.
You also get, hold on. Okay. You just gave up almost 300 yards, 4 touchdowns to Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, who got their first win of the season. That game was never really close. And now if you're the Packers, you just got one of the most embarrassing losses in recent memory, right? I think all of us would agree that. Maybe, speaking of Giants, maybe the Giants, lost a couple of years ago, although it was in New York.
Tommy Cutlets. Yeah,
Tommy DeVito might have been one that's in there, but you had a 10-point lead. You allowed the Browns to score 10 points in 37 seconds. And if you respond to that with a loss to Dallas, which, oh, by the way, Packers haven't lost in Jerry World, the new Jerry World.
Ever.
So they've owned that area. But this is huge. This is huge because your defense has kept you. Yes, you scored 27 points in the first 2 games of the season, but we would all agree that the offense left points on the board. The defense has dominated every game this year so far for this Packers team. The offense has to meet up with the defense. You heard Tucker Kraft mention it, but this is a team where you have to put up points on the board because, as you mentioned, Peter, it's a bad defense. If the Packers go into Dallas and they lose, I don't care how they lose. If they lose, that is a massive failure for this organization.
Brandon, do you think this team is talented enough to win the Super Bowl?
I don't know that. Do I think they're talented, or do I think they are they able to do it? I think are two different things.
Okay.
Right?
Answer both questions for me.
Talented, yes. Do I think they can do it? I have doubts, Peter. I have doubts, and I hate to say this. I have doubts that Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love can do it.
Okay. Yeah, I know you're a Goody Halfley guy. I get it. That's fine. Who's old enough to remember the year 2010? Anybody?
We can remember it.
Okay.
Coach, you were around,
5,
right?
Week 5,
2010. A third-year starter on the road against a team that ends up winning 6 games. Washed veteran quarterback in overtime, leads the game-winning drive that is 15 yards because the franchise quarterback threw an interception. Right? This is the Packers and then Redskins in Washington in week 5. The next week, they come back to Lambeau and they lose to a 7-win Tony Sparano Miami Dolphins team. They could not do anything right in that game. They, at that point, are 3-3. You guys remember how 2010 ended. That team won the Super Bowl. This team is good enough to win the Super Bowl. The thing that matters the most is how well are you playing December, January, and God willing in February. That's the most important thing. So is a game in September a must-win game? No, it isn't. Except I thought the Detroit one was for different reasons. Yes, you should beat this team. But there are no Western Michigans. There are no, directional Kentuckys for you to play in the NFL. Dak Prescott is a really freaking good quarterback. If he puts up 30 points and you lose 35-31, is there any shame in that? I don't know, man. I kind of don't think there is.
Yeah. The thing is,
by the way, I think the Packers are going to win by 14.
Really? You're throwing that out right before.
Yeah.
Why not?
I just want to make Brandon feel better. I don't want him to sulk all
No, I don't feel bad either. So, and I lost my train of thought. Damn it.
Well, I'll let you pick up that train, Coach, because I want to respond to Peter. I think that this team, the biggest thing, Peter, would you agree, under Matt LaFleur or during his tenure in Green Bay, is like the team not really responding to adversity, right? Like they have issues responding to adversity. They have, right? I'm not saying they haven't, but it's not a consistent thing, right? And week 3 was a spot of, a bit of adversity, right? You allow that Browns team for somehow, some way to score 10 points in 37 seconds. I know Coach LaFleur owned up to that interception that Jordan Love threw and said he shouldn't have called it. It was kind of on him. I think all of us would agree that it was on both of them. That shouldn't have happened. But if you don't respond properly in week 4, would that be, is that a sign of this team just not able to respond to adversity? That 2010 team responded. They battled through a lot of different things in that year. So I don't know if we can necessarily compare them yet.
Sure, but they hadn't before that, right? Like 2008. How many games did that 2008 defense blow? Like 7, right? And in 2009, they had one of the best defenses in the NFL. They had the defensive player of the year.
Yep. And
they go into Arizona in the playoffs and get their doors blown off by Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald and that Cardinals team. So, they had not proven it until they did, right? Yeah. And so that's not to make an excuse if they go in and lose. I'll be mad. I'll be on my show talking about what a disappointment it is, how embarrassing it is to go in and be a favorite. This team is learning to win, though, guys. Like, they're a young team learning what it feels like to be a favorite. Jags, let's get your input on this, because from that perspective, there is a clear difference to me. Last year's Packers versus this year's Packers. Last year Packers, they're going to take a step. They were feeling themselves. They felt like they were talented. They were good. And they just didn't always bring the energy the way that they probably should have in some of those big games. This year, you add Micah Parsons. You're getting healthy with a lot of these guys. You bring them back. They're now favorites in all these games. They're one of the Super Bowl favorites. There's a different pressure to perform. And you have to have a different locker room culture to deal with that, don't you?
Yeah, I think they do. Like I said, the money guys in that locker room are the leaders. There's not a money guy in that locker room. It's like, God, he's sending the bad message. It's just, that's good teams don't have that. We're talking about like the Super Bowl. Like, all 32 teams want to win, and there's only one team that's not disappointed at the end of the season. Right. Peter, you made a great point about like how you're playing in December, January, February. You had mentioned that. My deal again. You're thinking ahead, but I want to win the NFC North.
Sure.
I want to win that. We got to win that, right? Unless you're going to be like a wild card team or that, but they're good enough to win the NFC North.
No doubt.
They are. And then from there, guys, sky's the limit, right? And another thing is like our team is so young. So who's got the bigger ceiling? The Packers or everybody else? Back.
Yeah.
Right. They got a lot of room for improvement because they're so damn young.
Well, to your point too, Coach, like if you, and I know we're up against it, but to your point, if you're going to win the NFC North, you can't drop a game that you're once again heavily. I think the Packers, I think our friends at FanDuel, Peter, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 6.5 the last time I looked.
Yeah, it's moved a little bit over the last couple
of
days.
This would be the second game in a row that you drop being heavy favorites on the road. That would be a failure. That's a failure. And in order to win the division, Coach, to your point, Detroit Lions look like the Detroit Lions. They just went into Baltimore and whooped them, right? Yeah. After they whooped the Bears. Like you gotta maintain pace. I know the Packers beat the Lions and they'll see them again, but you got to continue to win these games and kind of keep pace with the NFC. The Eagles keep winning, right? The Buccaneers found a way to win on Sunday. The Lions obviously keep winning. So in order for what you're saying, Coach, to happen, to come to fruition, you got to win the games that you should win, including Sunday.
There is a trend among the Shanahan tree coaches, Kyle, McVay, LaFleur, Zach Taylor. They when the going gets tough, they play not to lose. And it is one of the flaws in Matt LaFleur. Like remember, was it 2019? He coined, and then Robert Saleh also coined all gas, no break. It doesn't feel like they always live up to that ethos, right? The Bears have Ben Johnson. It seems like they are trying to carry the Dan Campbell. We're going to go on all these fourth downs. We are going to be aggressive every single time we play. That ethos is the ethos that I wish the Packers had. But weirdly, Kyle Shanahan, how many games in the fourth quarter have they blown? How many times in the fourth quarter can they not come back in these games? Sean McVay has been one of the most conservative go kick game managers in the NFL since he's been the coach. He's a great schemer. He's an incredible game manager from a in-game adjustment standpoint. But they make these mistakes. And Zach Taylor, his whole career in Cincinnati, I don't think Zach Taylor is the best coach I've ever seen. But they lose more value to missed opportunities going forward on fourth down than any team in the NFL. This, for whatever reason, this tree of coaches, they play not to lose in some of these moments. And if they go into Dallas and play not to lose, rather than just letting it all hang out, I thought the Dan Quinn playoff game, they did not go into play not to lose. They went into to win that game. They have to bring the underdog mentality. I think LaFleur is better as an underdog. It's why I think they were so good in 2023 by the end and really good in 2024.
2019 as well. Nobody gave them a chance in 2019, yes, to your point.
They're better as underdogs, and they need to sort of find that underdog mentality again. It's, by the way, it's why I wouldn't really, like, if they lost, fine. Like now they're up against it. And I think like this team does well when they have that sort of pressure on it. But I would like to see from the top down them take a little bit more of an aggressive, especially a young team. A young team wants to play, they want to go for every fourth down. They want to take a million shots down the field. That's why weeks 1 and week 2, when Jordan Love had like an average depth of target of like 15, you're like, yes, this is the way you want to see them play.
So you're saying take the reins off, Peter?
Take the governor off, coach.
Right? Why not? Yeah, here's the deal. I think again, going into this game, right? It's on the road. It's in a great venue. You guys ever been down there in that venue?
I haven't.
It's unbelievable.
I've heard it's great.
It is. When they talk about Jerry's World, it is. It's just it's like a 3-ring circus down there. Before the game, guys, you can't even get on the field. There's so many guests down there, and it's a great venue. But again, Packers are going in there, us against the world. And I know the Packers will carry a bunch of fans down to Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
They will. So they'll have some support down there. But it's us against the world. I love playing on the road. I really did. Remember we talked about the formula. They got to win half their away games. And they dropped one. They should have won last week, but this is a winnable one for sure.
It will definitely be an interesting one for the Packers, one that I say is a must win. Maybe some disagreement there, but we'll see if the Packers can get it done. Coming up after our break here, each week we want to bring you closer to the show than ever. We are going to dive into our group chat, the things we discussed this week. And this week, it's all about the trenches. Stay tuned. Today's Locked On Packers Squad show is brought to you by Game Time. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout. It can be frustrating, and that's why I personally use Game Time and why you should too. It's the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's fast, it's easy, and it's backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included, so the price you see is what you actually pay. And my favorite part about this app is that you can see where your seats are, the exact view from the seat before you even buy them. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go right now. Download the Game Time app today. Each week, we like to bring you closer to the show than ever before. We call this segment Into the Group Chat. We kind of shuffle through the group chat. We look at things that we were talking about as the week went on, and coming off of a loss, it was, to be quite honest, nothing positive in the group chat when it came to the Packers' Week 3 loss in Cleveland to the Browns. And Coach, you had a lot to say about the protection for the Green Bay Packers, or I should say the lack thereof protection when it comes to the Green Bay Packers. A lot of what you sent in the group chat, I should say you and Peter, I think I lost you guys halfway through that group chat. So you were talking about shoulders being squared and 1.2 seconds. I don't know. We'll dive into it. Your thoughts into the group chat. You mentioned the protection. What did you see in that Week 3 loss to the Cleveland Browns by the Packers? Okay,
so we talked about this last week, right? If you're not defensive lineman, where you got to go? You're going to the offensive side of the ball. You're the O-line. It's the last stop before the bus stop, right? So, and the defensive line is more athletic than offensive linemen. That's just the way it is. That's why those guys get paid a lot more. But when you start going ahead and twisting is like you have a penetrator and then a looper, right? We talked about this a little bit last week. And now you get guys on different levels. I talk about like the center's up and the guard's back, and they can't pass that twist off. And those guys aren't as good in space. That's why they're guards and centers, right? And the tackles are a little bit better in space. But inside, those guys couldn't pass anything off. And they kept doing it. And guys, I'm telling you, they're going to see a boatload of twists, especially if I'm looking at like the injury report and who's playing, who's not playing. I go, they can't stop it. So keep going. It's like sharks in blood, man. They're going to keep coming, and they're not going to stop until you stop it.
The thing is Matty Eberflus does not really do that. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't, but then there's always this question, Coach, of how much do you want to change what you do, who you are as a team with your identity to attack a weakness? So how do you go about making those sorts of decisions when you're prepping for a week? Like, hey, this team really struggles with this thing we don't really do. So should we do it, or should we just try and keep doing and getting better with what we do?
Well, everybody's got a twist and games package. Everybody does.
Sure. Sure.
It's right. Everybody's got that. And here's the thing: Dallas hasn't been getting close to the quarterback. They got to generate a. They got to
try something, I guess, Coach. Right?
They have to. Right? They have to generate a pass rush somehow. And I bet the head coach went into Eberflus and goes, "We got to get some pressure." I go, and I would be showing, if I'm at Dallas right now, I'd be showing my defensive unit the pass protection of what the Packers just gave up, saying like these guys ain't Supermen up there in Green Bay. They're not. I go, and we can duplicate this too. Now they don't have a Garrett, obviously, down there, but they're going to have to use some games, guys. And if they don't, that's really bad coaching.
Peter, Coach had asked the question in the group chat. Again, we call this segment Into the Group Chat, bring you into the things that we're talking about as the week goes on. Peter, Coach asked us today in the group chat, how many iterations were there for the Packers offense line? My first answer was 2. Then I corrected myself and said 3. Then you agreed with 3. Then you're like, wait, there was 4 because there was because Rasheed Walker left the game. I mean, talk to me, Peter, about this Packers offensive line, because what's more important, right? Is it the most talented guys, your best 5, or is it just, hey, continuity? Like, we agree. I think most of us agree about Jordan Morgan at left guard. I think there could be some discussion for the right tackle, but it feels like there was just not a lot of continuity at all into that game against the Cleveland Browns, and that caused a lot of issues up front.
I think it would be easy to forget what happened in week 2 when Anthony Belton played admirably against the Commanders, aside from the one holding call that unfortunately ends up bringing back an absolutely ridiculous throw from Jordan Love on a would-be touchdown, and that broke Jaden Reed's collarbone, which is just like, God, a brutal sequence to even say out loud.
Double negative.
It's just horrible. He did not allow a pressure in that game as a rookie first-time starter in prime time on a short week. Like, he's talented, and Matt LaFleur talked about it. Like, he's a really talented kid. We just don't know if he's going to be healthy. And he is, yes, he's a dancing bear. He's 6'6", 330, and has good movement skills for a guy that size. But a bum ankle, like that's a tough deal. Like, you got to kick slide, you got to plant, you got to be able to put your cleats in the ground and take on a bull rush, coach. Like, you got to have faculties with your lower body there. And so that's tough. I think Jordan Morgan at left guard, I'm fine with that, right? Like, that does not bother me. That does not worry me one iota. And I just don't expect Elton Jenkins to have 2 games in a row like that. I just don't. But here's the problem, guys. After that, like, go on the depth chart. It's Brant Banks, who they just signed off the practice squad. He's the backup tackle if Anthony Belton can't go. And it's Lecitus Smith, who I'm not even sure if I pronounced his name right, was someone they signed like 3 weeks ago. So it's tough. This is certainly a problem for them. If Anthony Belton can go, I wouldn't be worried about it. In fact, I would feel pretty good about it overall. If it's Belton, it's Morgan. Okay, great. A little more concerned with Kennard, though. I think Kennard has been fine.
I agree.
I like Darian Kennard. I think that is one of those, like, Brandon, take your victory lap. That was a great Goody move. Like, and it makes you wonder, like, why did the Eagles feel like they couldn't use depth along the offensive line? Coach, no one has depth along the offensive line. No. Half the teams in the league don't have 5 starters, much less 6.
Right. And I'll tell you, we talked about, like, who's up on game day, right? We got 46 up. And I've gone into games as an O-line coach with just 7 up. And you talk about holding on to your butt now. It's like you get, I can't imagine what Butkus is going through right now. It's like, geez, I go, it's like plug and play, sticking your finger in a dike, right? It's like, where else is it going to go? And the thing is, how many guys are they going to be able to have up on game day this week?
Yeah.
Is it going to be 8? Is it going to be 9?
Well, and you're traveling, right? So you have to make those decisions ahead of time.
Right. You do. And the thing is, I mean, they're holding on for dear life right now to make sure that they can get out of this game. And you know what they're saying too, as a staff, so we got to get this game because we can limp into an off week. Yeah. I mean, but they got to figure it out. They got to figure out a way to get all their best players on the field at the same time. And again, there's so much. And I didn't know that he had a right ankle. I didn't know that. I just got that from you guys. And
the good news is this is the movable force against the stoppable object, right? So, like, if it's not going to be the best version of the Packers offensive line, this is the kind of front you want to go against.
Right.
But
Donovan
Peter,
Ngaraku, the rookie, had a 0% win rate last week. 0 against the Bears. Did not win a rep last week as a pass rusher. Like that's not going to work. Like Darian Kennard can handle that, I think.
Peter, here's my thing though with the Packers, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this feels like I feel like I'm blasting Matt LaFleur in this episode, and I really like him, but it feels like it was the wrong. Like, how do you go from?
Isn't it? Be honest, it's the eyebrows.
How do you go from starting Anthony Belton for a whole game against the Washington Commanders on a short week to seeing Zach Tom go down with an injury and say, you know what? Let's put in a guy that hasn't played right tackle while the other guy, Anthony Belton, is sitting on the bench who just got done playing a full game at right tackle. What are we doing here? What are like Matt LaFleur, or Adam Stenovich, Luke Bukowski? I'm guessing it all comes down to Matt LaFleur. What are we doing? What was that all about?
I think Jordan Morgan is a victim of his own competency. I think they really like him. I think that they think on a short week or on short notice, he can do just about anything they need him to do on the offensive line. But I think, Brandon, you are right. I cannot correct you because you are not wrong. How many reps, Coach, do you think Jordan Morgan got at right tackle last week? Probably not very many. He was probably preparing to rotate with Sean Ryan at right guard, and that was it. Anthony Belton was probably getting the reps with the twos at right tackle. But they think Jordan Morgan is their 6th best offensive lineman, and so they think he can play tackle. And so when you have an injury, they put him out there. I thought it was very big of Matt LaFleur when asked on Monday, I believe it was, do you think you're putting too much on Jordan Morgan's plate?
Yeah.
And he said, to his credit, I think there may be some merit to that, which is the closest a coach is going to get to saying we effed up. I think that was his way of saying we screwed this up. And what I would like to see, Coach, is I would like to see them say, Jordan Morgan, for right now, whatever is going to happen in the future is going to happen. For right now, we want you to be a guard, and you're going to be a left guard, you're going to be a right guard, whatever it is, but you're going to play guard. Anthony Belton is going to be the swing tackle. You've got another swing tackle in Darian Kennard. He can kind of play anywhere too, and it's okay if your third guy is a little bit more peripatetic that way. I think they have to streamline this for these guys, and I think that would really help.
Yeah, the thing is, you're only playing with 5, right? And the thing is, first snap, hey Butkus, guess what? Your Tom's out.
Unbelievable.
First snap, he wasn't ready to go. He probably should have never been on the field to begin with.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, one snap. But here's the thing: as an offensive line coach, you're sitting there. It's like, okay, the 6th guy's up. Okay, the 7th guy is up. You know the reason they're 6, 7, and 8 because they ain't good enough to be in the first 5.
Yeah.
So they got their work cut out for them, and they'll find a good combination. But I think they got to stick with it. And the thing is, he doesn't do real well, at right tackle. He goes in there to fill for Tom, doesn't do real well, and then they had to flip him back over and they put Belt. They got to just live with it, and it's just like if a guy strikes out, the guy's got to get back up into the batter's box and start taking swings.
I think he was moved to left guard because Banks got hurt.
That's correct.
Right. So, and that was why here's I think the real answer to your question, Brandon, is had Banks been ready to go week 2, I think Jordan Morgan would have started at right tackle. And so that's the difference. But we saw Anthony Belton play right tackle, and we saw Jordan Morgan play left guard.
Did we see Jordan Morgan at right tackle at all during training camp? I don't recall anything.
Well, in camp a little. Because
Rasheed Walker was out for a while.
Not in the preseason. He was playing left tackle in the preseason, and he says, I'm a left tackle. So, it is not an easy thing to do. Mitchell Schwartz, who was, a terrific tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs for a long time, compared it to switch hitting. Like if you're a right-handed batter, try batting left-handed. I've already made, I don't need to, it would be gratuitous to quote Josh Sitton again, but that's one of the best lines ever about using a different hand to wipe. Like it is a difficult transition to make. This is not Madden where you can just say, oh, this right tackle is going to play left tackle for you now. It's a different set of footwork. It's different body types inside, Coach, right? Like facing 320-pound defensive tackles, every rep is different than facing 250-pound edge rushers every snap. Like it's a different world to live in.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is those inside guys, they're all 320, 330 now, and
can move.
Yeah. And they used to call, that's why they're not offensive linemen, right? That's why the hell they're over there. But, those guys those guards and the centers are different body types. They're just different. They're not as long. When I'm talking about long is like, what's the reach of their arms, right? And they're just the length on guards and centers isn't what it is like on the outside, because they got to handle the outside pass rush. That's why the length is so important on offensive tackles.
We put our eye on the enemy. We discussed if this was a must win. We broke down the play, as you heard there, with the offensive line. Now coming up after our final break, will the Packers actually get a win, or are they headed into their bye week with a loss? You'll get our reactions and our predictions coming up after this. Today's Locked On Packers Squad Show is brought to you by Wayfair. When you think game day, you might not think Wayfair, but you should, because Wayfair is the best kept secret for incredible and affordable game day finds. Wayfair has everything you need to get your space ready for the season, whether you're tailgating outdoors or cheering from your living room. From outdoor essentials like folding chairs, patio heaters, to indoor must-haves like TV stands and serveware, Wayfair has it all in one simple place. It is your trusted destination for all things come game day. From coolers and grills to recliners and slow cookers, shop, save, and score today at Wayfair.com. That's Wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Once again, Wayfair.com. We put week 3 into the review mirror. Unfortunately, a loss for the Packers. A big one ahead of the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, a place that the Packers have simply just dominated. And by I mean dominated, including the playoffs. The Packers have now scored 34 plus points against Dallas in all 5 of their games at AT&T Stadium. So the offense meeting hopefully a good matchup to get them back on track. As you heard Tucker Kraft kind of mention, the urgency is definitely there with the Green Bay Packers. Coach, ahead of week 4, how we feeling? What are your final thoughts heading into Dallas, and a score prediction in this one?
Well, I think that Green Bay's got to get back to get some turnovers. I think they got to go ahead and take the ball away, get us some extra possessions on this. I see this game going 21-7.
Wow. I think the Cowboys offense is going to have issues against this Packers defense, to say the least. No CeeDee Lamb, no Tyler Booker, no Cooper Beebe. I almost said Don Beebe. That's a name.
It's a good one.
I went to Don Beebe speed camp.
Yeah.
It did not. Trust me, I did not. It did not
work for you.
It didn't work out for me. I landed. I was in the Army. Didn't work.
No. But he tried. God bless him. He tried. I think this is going to be a higher scoring game than that. I would take over the total on this. I think this is like a 34-21 kind of game, 34-24 kind of game. I do think it is a double-digit Packers win because it has to be. Like this offense is pissed off. I think Tucker Kraft's perspective relays a frustration that everybody on this team feels. I know Jordan Love feels it. Matthew Golden admitted like he probably should have scored on the 30-yarder at the goal line. I mean, that could have been Robert Brooks back in the day, the 99-yarder. I mean, they're almost identical. I put the clips side by side, and if you close your eyes and forget that you're watching one or the other. So I think this Packers offense is going to roll this Cowboys defense. Although I think the Cowboys defense should play a little bit better. Deron Bland coming back will help. But the safeties still stink. The linebackers still stink. Like they cannot rush the passer. I just feel like if you can protect Jordan Love, this Packers offense is going to score points. This reminds me, guys, of 2022, Christian Watson against the Cowboys, 3 touchdowns. I think Matthew Golden could have that kind of game. He is 3 plays away. I did the math. If Jordan Love hits him on the 4th down ball against the Commanders, the go ball against the Commanders, and Golden can stay in bounds against the Browns. Not only are they 3-0, by the way, but Golden would be 3rd in the NFL in yards. Like those were plays that were there to be made.
And he admitted he should have stayed in bounds.
And admitted he should have stayed in bounds. Yeah. And Love missed him on the other 2 throws.
He did.
Those plays, he is just like frothing at the mouth to make these plays. And he said it. He said it's gonna happen. Like we're gonna get that opportunity. And I think it starts this weekend. I think this could be one of those like 8 for 160 and 2 touchdown kind of games for him.
You mentioned Matthew Golden, Peter. I got something I want to talk about. We should have hit it in the 3rd segment, but I kind of ran out of time. I do want to talk to you about Josh Jacobs real quick.
I'm glad you brought this up. I want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's not been a good start to the year. We can point it to a few different things, right? The offense just not fluid. The offensive line shuffle continues on. 58 rushes this year for Josh Jacobs, just 180 yards, a 3.1 yard per carry. His longest run is 15 yards. I know He's got a couple of touchdowns. He always scores in that red zone area for the Packers. Would you be concerned, Peter, if at the end of the Cowboy game, we're talking about Josh Jacobs still not clicking?
Yeah. And I would be lying if I said I did not during this week look at his contract situation and see what the money is like at the end of this year, because he is among league leaders in yards after contact. His running style invites contact, but he's the only guy with as many yards after contact who is not averaging 5 yards a carry. He's averaging a little over 3 yards a carry. And I just wonder if, like, at a certain point, all the workload last year, that if the juice in those legs is just not the same, and coach knows this, like the age curve on running backs, like they do not age well. So I'd be a little nervous. Now, if he goes out and has one of those Aaron Jones 2019 Aaron Jones kind of games, like, hell yeah, let's go. I don't think he's toast. But again, I thought about, okay, at the end of this year, could the Packers just straight up move on? I don't like, that's how ineffective the running game has been through 3 weeks.
Coach, what are you seeing from the run games, specifically, obviously, Josh Jacobs?
We got to get Josh up to the second level. I mean, the offensive line
got to win a block up front for that to happen, right?
Darn right.
He's getting met in the backfield almost. It feels like every time.
Well, again, guys, if you can't, we had this discussion, Peter, about zone blocking, right? Zone blocking is a scheme that should always get you at least back to the line of scrimmage. You can't be getting hit in the backfield and not even getting to the line of scrimmage. And we've had a lot of those. The thing is, you made a good point. Running backs' legs just don't last long. There's just too much. They take such a beating. And he's a super physical runner. But I think I wouldn't give up on that guy just yet. He's a good player. But he's got to get help from those guys up front. Yeah. Just has to. No, I don't care who you are. Earl Campbell can't do it on his own.
We're seeing this right now in Las Vegas, right, guys? Like, Ashton Genty is an incredibly gifted, explosive. Like, he's not got old legs, right? He's 22 and he could run a marathon if you asked him tomorrow. If there's no room, there's no room. Like, there's only so much you can do. 101% of his yards have come after contact this year. 101%. That's not supposed to be possible. He does not have any yard that exists this season that did not come after he made contact. So, you need the offensive line. This offensive line has not been a good run blocking offensive line for a couple years now.
Correct.
And it's why they went and got Aaron Banks. It's why they went and got Anthony Belton. It's why they went and got Jordan Morgan to try and change that. They wanted to get bigger. They wanted to play some more power football. And at times they've done it. They did wear the Lions down second half. They wore the Commanders down second half. But they've got to come out more early in these games and be able to control the line of scrimmage better than they have. This would be the kind of defense you could do it against. Although the Cowboys' run defense is better than their passing defense. They're 20th adjusted for schedule against the run. They're 32nd adjusted for schedule against the pass. Like, you take your pick. I'd rather throw the ball if I'm Jordan Love. Yeah. Like, this could be one of those 40 attempt kind of Jordan Love games, and then Josh Jacobs in the second half salts it away with a couple touchdowns late.
Yeah, if they get 28 rushes, for sure. That Packers winning percentage is it's off the charts if they get 28 rushes or more. But here's the thing, guys, and I'd be challenging the O-line again, being in that room. I mean, it's an attitude. Running the football is an attitude.
No doubt.
I mean, there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. Everybody sees you. And the thing is, if you screw it up as an offensive lineman, everybody knows you screwed it up, right? But it's an attitude, and those guys got to get it going this week.
I'm struggling with this one because on the surface, Peter, I want to say the Packers, dominate, and I think they should on paper. The game's obviously not played on paper. I do think the Packers are going to win, but I think it's going to be a close game. I think Dallas is in desperation mode, right? They don't want to fall to 1-3. They're in desperation mode to prove as a team.
Yeah, but I want Sidney Sweeney to text me, but some things are just not going to happen,
That's fair. You can get a text from me, though, I promise. But I will say, it's an emotional game because the other thing that we really didn't talk about, and it's my fault, is that Micah Parsons is coming back now. And
we said Micah Parsons more than 4 times on the show.
It's a desperation game for the Dallas, for their win-loss, record. You could say it's a must win for them, most certainly, as we talked about in segment 2 about the Packers. But they're going to want to come out and prove that, they made the right move and that they can win without Micah Parsons. And and I don't want to say their season's on the line, but you fall 1-3 versus 2-2 in a tough division that they're in. It could be, you know, I do think the Packers do squeak out a win, but to both of your guys' points, I think it's close. I think it's a last possession, a last defensive stop for one of these teams, and hopefully it's the Packers. I got them winning 31-27, but I think it's going to be a close one.
Brandon, if this game were in week 3, I'm gonna give you the Men in Black. Look into the beep. It's post Commanders game, but let's say they don't have 10 days. Let's just say they have a week off. What would your prediction again? And the Cowboys just got dog walked by Caleb Williams and the Bears. What would your prediction then be?
It depends how
45-21.
Maybe again. What did you say the outcome would be against the Browns?
I'm saying no. Forget the Browns. The Browns
coming out of week 2.
Packers Cowboys game is week 3. You're coming off the Commanders game. I would still have questions. Not 10 days. Assume not 10 days.
Yeah, I would still have questions about the offense because it feels like even in those first 2 weeks, and I know we've talked about it. We talked about it today. A lot of points it felt like were left on that board. Nothing really, or on that field. Nothing really got going offensively consistently for Jordan Love. We just talked about Josh Jacobs. Nothing really going for Josh Jacobs either. I would feel better to your point because I know that's what you're looking for. I would certainly feel better, but I wouldn't feel overly confident either. I wouldn't feel, great about it, but I think they would win. I think it'd be a 7 to 10 point win. But after what I saw against the Cleveland Browns, and I understand that that's a really good defense, and I think they've given a lot of teams a lot of fits already in this year. I'm also going to be curious to see what they look like against the Detroit Lions, the Browns defense it is, and how they respond after that game against Green Bay. So I'll be tuned into that one as well. But I would feel better to your point, Peter, but I don't know if I'd feel great.
I mean, look, I respect that. I think if I will speak for myself. I think I probably would have said 45-21. Like they didn't score that in week 1 or 2 though. Okay. But this defense stinks. Like this is one of, if not the worst defense in the NFL. We're talking about a different level of opponent. And so I'm predicting anybody to score 45 points in a week, I think is maybe a little bit exaggerating, but I felt pretty good about the team. Like all 3 of us guys picked double-digit wins in Cleveland.
We did. Yeah. We certainly did. We all lost.
I am not going to be beholden to the failure of that guess, of that estimation. I'm not going to give into that temptation. I think this Packers team is still really freaking good. I think this offense is still really freaking good. And I think they are going to, pissed off, come out and take it to this Dallas Cowboys team. I think Micah Parsons is going to play his ass off. And I think the Packers are going to boat race the Dallas Cowboys on national television because Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love own the Dallas Cowboys. AT&T Stadium is Lambeau South. Let's go.
Well, we're all 2-1 on the show. Let's hope we all improve to 3-1 on the show. We all got wins coming up in week 4. Great stuff, gentlemen. Let's hope the Packers get that much needed win as they head into the bye week after Sunday Night Football in Dallas. Friendly reminder, the Locked On Packers Squad Show and the Daily Show with our guy over there, Peter Bukowski, free and available wherever you guys get audio podcasts as well as over on YouTube. For Peter, for Coach Jags, and for myself, we will sign off for now. We will be back with you live on Sunday night following the Packers and Cowboys Week 4 prime time meeting. Remember, right after the final whistle, Peter will go live on the Locked On Packers YouTube channel. And then right when Peter's done, you got me, Coach Jags, and Peter again for another 60 minutes, 90 minutes of post-game Packers talk. I promise you will not find that anywhere else. You can find it right here on the Locked On Packers YouTube channel and wherever you guys get audio podcasts. Thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in. Thank you for making Locked On Packers part of your day each and every single day. And as always, stay Locked On Packers.